What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Geek Boutique podcast. Like our friend Nate is saying, happy Friday, Junior, everybody. It is Thursday. It's 7 p.m. And you know what time it is. It's time for the craziest nerds on the internet. As always, my brother, my compadre, my co-host, Aka. How you doing, Jeff?
I am fantastic. Yeah, it's been really good. I've been just kind of like surfing the high that was Toronto Comicon still, right?
Sure look like you're surfing, that's for sure.
That's hey man, we got to represent here. This is all good. And even Tiffany, our your friend Toxic Fox, saying she's actually here and she's early. Well,
there you go.
Thank you so much for
Very
showing
nice.
up,
Very
Brittany.
nice.
Guys, thanks for joining us once again. As you can see, we got a couple of guests. Before we get in there, wow, I know Wayne, says Lex. I think everybody knows Wayne at this point. If you're in the community, especially the GTA area, you probably
What's up, Lex?
You watch this podcast, you know Wayne.
Yeah, before we get into talking with our two guests today, we want to remind each and every one of you, if we please could, I can see you over there. I can see you watching on YouTube. How many people? We better be seeing some likes on this, and hey, some subscribe to anybody that hasn't subscribed to the channel. It really, really does help us out. I know we say that every week, but it honestly does. It lets YouTube know that you guys are liking the content and you want to see more of it. So please make sure you're going over and liking, subscribing on the YouTube side of things. Otherwise, JS,
make sure you click the notification bell.
Yeah, you know,
if you click the notification bell, it'll let you guys know when we go live. As you could see, we did not do a technical difficulties pre-show tonight.
Yep.
It's just been so complicated. Like it's such a pain in the ass.
I think we're at a point until they kind of fix it, we're probably not going to be able to do the technical difficulties.
I mean, we may try here and there, but yeah.
With 4 people, there was not going to be any. And again, one last reminder too, guys, we are T-minus 1 month away from May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Episode 2, May the 4th strikes back. We are going to be back at London Brewing Co-op. It is going to be from 3 to 11, just like it was last year. This year, it's on a Saturday, though. There's going to be bingo. There's going to be vendors. There's going to be trivia. There's going to be raffles. There's going to be beer. A brand new beer, by the way, that we've had to kind of like shift around a little bit, but a brand new beer. It's not going to be a shandy. I told you guys before it's going to be a shandy. Not going to be a shandy. All I'm going to say right now is it's not going to be a shandy, but keep your eyes peeled. Things are going to happen. We went and shot some footage last night as far as promotional footage goes. But we are gearing up. For the vendor spaces too, guys, just a quick reminder, I have 3 spots left on the vendor list. I have 3 spots left. I would love to get them filled. So if you're interested in vending, please message me directly. It's only $25. All 25 of that dollars goes directly to Ronald McDonald House Charities, and you get to vend your stuff. So, Ian, by the way, even if you're just there to hype your own stuff, even if you're just putting a booth together to be like there's going to be hundreds of people coming through there. Even if it's just like, I've got a podcast and I want everybody to know about it. It's only going to cost you $25 to hype it up to hundreds of drunk people that are going to love it. So,
and we're all going to be there. We're all going to be in costume.
Yeah.
Did we say there was going to be beer?
I believe we did say there was going to be beer, yes. And by the way, if you don't like the beer we come up with, you will. But if you don't, they have a wide selection and everything there is good, so you'll be fine. London Brewing Co-op in London, Ontario, May the 4th, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Be there and be square. JS, who do we have joining us this evening?
Well, somebody obviously in the chat has already spoiled it for us over here. But guys, again, if you watch or listen to the show, you know this gentleman over here, Wayne, Mr. Wayne Cuff. How you doing, buddy?
I am fantastic. If I do any better, I couldn't live with myself.
I think we've spoken to you before at cons on the podcast, but we've never actually had you on this before, have we? Yeah. This is our first time on.
This is my first time, everybody. Be gentle.
He's only been watching for 2 years. He finally get him on the podcast. So
I've been to your conventions when you guys have just rocked it, and I've talked to you guys on a regular, but never been on the podcast. So this is a big thing for me. So I'm really proud to be here along with my partner on this side.
That side.
Welcome to the show, Wayne. That's right. Mr. North Haven Creative. Jeff, is it Davad? Is that how you pronounce it?
Davad, David, whatever you feel. I mean, I've had teachers get it wrong. I've had employers get it wrong. So
how does your mom pronounce it?
Hey, you.
Kick him from the fucking chat.
No,
I'm already all done with Jeff. Christ.
David. It's pronounced David.
David. All right. Well, Jeff David. Guys, if you don't know Jeff is a photographer. I mean, if you go to cons, you probably have seen and been in some of Jeff's pictures. Kind of brings us to what we're going to be talking about here tonight, because I feel like even us here as the Geeks Go, part of the reason why we wanted to have a booth at cons and why we want to set up meetups and so on and so forth is for content. We go there to gather content that we can use on our social medias, videos for YouTube, which we suck at. We need to do more of it. Pictures for Instagram, et cetera, right? I mean, yes, of course, we go there because, the people, but at the same time, as an organization, we want to try to get as much content as we can out of a convention like, for example, Toronto Comicon.
Attaboy.
Hell yeah.
You got there.
We suck at it. So, we thought that we should bring a couple guys here that have been in the industry for a long time. Photographer. And I mean, Wayne, how long have you been a cosplayer for, first of all?
I've been a cosplayer. This almost goes to my 5th year. August would be my 5th year being in the cosplay community.
But you've been on the scene longer than that, though, Wayne. Yes.
Yes, I have. I've loved going to conventions since. Wow. It just shows you how old I am. About 2007, give or take.
Yeah, I thought so. Like, I thought you kind of not late to the cosplay scene per se, but I remember seeing you early on when I started going to cons in the Toronto area and seeing you there, not in cosplay, and only relatively recently seeing you actually starting to dress up. So I knew you were already part of the scene because everybody knew who you were, as far as that goes. And so you finally took the plunge and decided, hey, I'm going to start dressing up like the rest of these fucking nerds.
Yeah, because I was always seeing you guys dress up in cosplay, and like I always wanted to do it, but I was like going, I don't think I fit that mold. I don't think that, but I had so many doubts about myself. And then I basically took a trip one year, just took a sabbatical. I traveled to Southeast Asia and to Europe for a year, and said, if I can do that, then I can basically do cosplay. So
yeah,
I started cosplaying in 2019, and that's when I met this crazy Yahoo right here. So everybody who knows me in the community knows that I try my best to give as much content, not only as myself, but give them times to shine. Because when you go to conventions, you go there for the moments. The moments like when you get the free hug from Captain America, like from an 8-year-old a couple years back, Jeff.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Those are moments that you
you got that picture. You were the one that caught that picture with that little mini cap. That's right.
That was me.
Yeah.
So those moments you remember. Like he's like, you remember the time when you were doing something stupid? I'm the guy that takes the pictures of those things. So,
and we're always doing something stupid. But same with you, Jeff. Like, you've been doing photography for longer than you've been involved on the cosplay side of the photography thing. Like, how did that work? Like, how did you decide to transition from being a photographer and then getting into shooting cosplayers?
In 2012, 2009, I did my first cosplay related shoot, which was a Walt Disney Princess poker game in a haunted house, and the girls were all dressed up as princesses, and the theme of the shoot at the very end was that Tinkerbell gave Snow White the ace that put her over and won the game, and then Sleeping Beauty got into a fight because Sleeping Beauty was going after Cinderella's man, and the girl that played Cinderella was a very good model friend of mine in the glamour model industry, and her Cinderella was just beautiful. So fast forward to 2019, and I contacted someone about doing a cosplay shoot, and it just started from there. And then I attended my first con, which was Kitchener Comicon. And then that year I went to Fan Expo, not inside Fan Expo, but I went in. I did shoots outside because I got messages on Instagram saying, hey, Jeff, I heard you're going to be at Fan Expo. Do you want to do some shoots? And then two shoots turned into like 3, which turned into 5, which turned into like 19 shoots for the entire weekend that I did. And there was the one with Wayne that we did, which was
Black Lagoon.
Black Lagoon. And then the highlight of that, which Jeff was part of, was the 35-person X-Men shoot at the far side of Rogers Center that myself and Robin Iskew, another photographer, and I did. And it was just amazing to have that many people there for that big group shoot. I still have the photos in my archive.
Is that where the big steps are? The big wide
Yeah.
steps?
Yeah.
Yep. So we were lined up all the way up the steps
Mhm.
and kind of faced off against each other and that kind of thing. So, but like, so you were into photography already is the point that I was trying, like initially, like when did you get into photography then?
Professionally, I started in 2007. Before that, I've been in the industry since I was 17 years old. So I started in the industry in 1987, and I got my first job in television that summer. And then, so I've been in the industry before there were like YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or any social media. When I was in college for broadcasting at Conestoga, I interned at TV Ontario, Much Music, Magnetic South, which did the editing for Kids in the Hall. I did managed to go for a tour of the CBC Broadcast Center at the time as well through a friend I knew in the industry. And I had a job in radio as well in Magic FM here in Guelph, was known as CKLA, and I was part of the operations team there. So I would do overnight operations. And actually, that was the first time I worked my first Christmas shift in the industry where I worked overnight. Actually, it was a 12-hour day that I worked on Christmas. So yeah, in the 90s, I worked in the film industry, did some background work in the film industry and been on a lot of film sets over those years. And then I took a bit of a break because after 10 years, I was like tired. And then during that break, the internet happened. And then about a year into the internet being what it was, I picked up my first digital camera and started playing around. And then in 2007, bought my first digital SLR and had my first professional paid gig at a wedding 2 months later through a friend. So then in 2013, I started doing roller derby photography and coverage, and I've been part of that since. And this is my 11th year going into roller derby.
Yeah, can we talk about that for a quick second? Because I was not aware of this. So you do roller derby coverage, you live stream roller derby.
Yeah, I started last year, and the biggest thing that I did last year, other than a tournament in Kitchener, was I did a tournament in Montreal where the #1 team in all the world was there from New York City. And so it was a big deal to be having that coverage and to have it go actually worldwide. So we were getting followers from like the States and from over in Europe and from Canada as well. The tournament that I did at Kitchener last summer, we had followers pretty much from just the US only because the Ohio team was there and the team from Minnesota was there and there was a team from Philadelphia. So we managed to get those followers coming on board, and they would send me messages during the stream saying, this coverage is amazing. Really thank you for covering this. So hearing that makes what I do as a media content provider that's why I do it. I don't do it for myself. I don't do it for all the accolades or for whatever. It's for me, it's about the people and about the people who get something from it, whether it be a photo, whether it be the video streaming, because with video streaming, the families can see their players, playing live and seeing all the hits, and they'll comment like, oh my God, what a great block, or wow, look at that apex jump. And just seeing that reaction, knowing that you had a hand in that, it just makes it so worthwhile. Just like being at a con and you're doing things for people, whether it be, vendors or it be cosplayers or it be the people who are running the event, and you get that reaction and those thank yous and it's like, that's why, I do what I do, why I love the business so much, because of the people that you meet and the people that can really come across to you and be like, thank you for doing this. And, it means so much that you're here. And, it just really makes you feel good about what you're doing. It makes you want to even work that much harder at what you're doing and be better at your creating. I mean, I look at some other photographers' work and I'd be like, wow, I wish I could do that. But then I also think, but part of my scope of work is being unique in the work that I do, but also having the relationships with people, because those relationships mean a lot. Like working with Wayne, the fact that I've worked with Jeff, a number of times, and those are the kind of relationships to me that, when you go to a con or anything, they remember you and you want to work that much harder to be.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I feel like the relationships that people, especially the regulars, right?
Yes.
I hate using that term, even though we use it. I want to say we're friendly about how we use the word normies, but I don't think the normies that go to a con once every 2 or 3 years really understands the community that is built around some of these events and the relationships that, I mean, for crying out loud, that's how I know all of you guys, right? through a convention or another, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, 100%. Those relationships are
Yeah.
super important.
Yeah, I always believe that with conventions, it's like a family reunion of sorts.
Mhm.
It's like it's like having a barbecue cookout, but with cosplayers instead. It's you're making new friends when you're there. You're seeing your old friends, whether they're at Artist Alley or they're guys at Geeks and Co. or
I was just gonna say the Geeks
cosplayer.
and Co booth.
Yeah, because like people still talk about a couple years ago when you had that huge Spidey meetup and when we had the whole cosplay event in that
Dude,
area.
that
That was genius.
that was
Bonkers.
so that was our first meetup.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was our first ever meetup, and the amount of people that showed up for this Spider-Man shoot,
Yeah,
I was not expecting that. I had no idea. I had no idea. I was not expecting that, and I think it's still today one of our biggest shoots. There's a video of Rob filming, being like, "Oh my god!" Like we did this. We did this.
Yes, you did. I have pictures to prove it. I have your receipts. I have the pictures where you guys were pointing at my friend Joe and doing the Spider-Man pointing at that time.
Gotta do the memes. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Of course. So it's fun and it doesn't make it feel like it's work. And that's what I loved about going to conventions and creating content there. It's the moment, it's making friends, it's all that. And that's why we enjoy what we do, whether you're a photographer, whether you're a cosplayer or whatnot. You enjoy the memories you have, and that's something that you can't put a price on.
No, and when I look back on all the people I've met over the years and all the friendships I've made, it's amazing. It's stunning. Like one of my first collaborators that I've ever worked with, we still shoot together, and it's been 16 years. And she was the one that I did my 1000th professional shoot with just last weekend.
Is that something that you like? Is most of your business now that you get out of like shoots, people wanting to do shoots? I'm assuming it's all now basically people that you know or that already know you, right? That just you got a bunch of regulars now. I'm assuming most of your business.
Yeah, and I won't say that I'm picky when it comes to that. These are people that I've established a good, strong friendship, and just because of the work that we've done over the years, it's just it's just an organic thing. Like my friend Danielle, when she wants to do a shoot with me, she'll post a picture of one of our past shoots on Facebook, and that's her cue to me to say, "Hey Jeff, I'm ready to go. Let's talk about the next idea." I'll message her and say, "Okay, what date and time do you want to do this?" My most favorite shoots are when I get to work with professional performance artists. Like I work with an artist by the name of Mermaid Molly Flora, and Wayne's worked with me on a Wednesday Addams shoot. Molly does Disney princesses, and she does mermaid stuff, and she's a professional performer. Working with people like that just makes you want to work that much harder with your work, and you value that relationship because of the content and the creation that you guys do together. Just have that relationship where it's like, hey, it's all about the work. And
right.
If you see some of my behind the scenes stuff with me, you can see the conversations that we have and that fun that's there on location and on set when we do work together because of that rapport that we develop. And I think that's a really key thing, is having that rapport, because you joke around a lot, you have little inside stories you can tell, and it just sets the whole tone and mood for what you guys are doing. Even when I work for someone new, it's the same thing. You talk to them about what they want to do. You make sure that, okay, what character you want to do and which version of that character do you want to do. And then you just build it from there. And then when you shoot together, the shoot goes that much quicker and that much better because you're getting the shots that you both agreed upon that you want. And it just flows. You just have like the best time. So,
I want to expand a little bit, Wayne, what you were talking about as far as like moments and experiences go, because I'm finding that like with what you were talking about, because you guys are both into content, right? Like you're both as far as creating content and stuff. And it seems like, unfortunately, too much of the time, let me rephrase it. How do you balance the need or the drive or the desire for getting and creating content versus just enjoying the moment or enjoying the time spent or having the time with the friends? It seems like there's so many people in the community now, and I'm not casting shade. We all have different reasons why we do this, but are so hyper focused. Do you know why we don't end up getting a lot of content? when we go to a con with the Geeks and Co, because we're having too much fucking fun. Like we're not stopping to think we better shoot this, we better have this because we need this for later or whatever. It doesn't become all encompassing. You guys are kind of living and dying by the content. So how do you keep that balance in check between getting the content that you're after, but also making sure that you're enjoying the moment and having a good time?
Yeah, and dancing in the middle of a con floor,
Right?
doing memes and shit.
Right.
Well, balancing work and fun is always been a very hard life balance. So, for example, I did a Cyberpunk 2077 in a karaoke bar, and I was able to reach out to people. They know it's me, and they were able to put like about 15 different cosplayers, and we had several different bars. And at the end of the day, we decided to have a karaoke time, do some karaoke for a couple hours. So it's a way to not only brings like, what, they're focused, they're doing what they're doing, but they're also fun. And they also want to get a chance to get let loose. And that's a good thing, to have that little bit, like, having fun and be able to, it's always hard. But when you get a chance to do it after, like work before play, once you got the work done, just go nuts and cause shenanigans for all you're worth. And
when we get there, it's just play right from this jump. So that's where we don't get any of the work done, because it's never not playtime. So
I get you.
I mean, it becomes tough sometimes, right? When format, there we go. It becomes tough sometimes when, for a lot of us, especially with Toronto Comicon, I feel like it's always the worst at Toronto Comicon, because we haven't seen anybody in like 4 months, 5 months, right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden everybody's together, and it's like we're all fucking kids, and we're all like drunk and party. Like, it's just, how do you not?
Yeah, no, exactly.
And
that's what I mean. It's
right?
Finding that balance can be hard.
Yeah.
Like if you're going into a shoot like this shoot that we're seeing here, guys, for those of you who are listening, we're getting some highlights from I'm assuming this is from Grunge City, yes?
This is from the Cyberpunk shoot that preceded
the Cyberpunk shoot, right?
Yeah, okay. This was the first shoot that we did that led up to Grunge City being what it is now.
Yeah. See, this makes sense to me because you're already doing the shoot. That's what you're going there into that to create content. That's the whole point of this, is to create content and come out of that with content that you can share. But when you're going into an event, it's a little bit different, because you're going to the event, like Wayne said, see your friends, have a good time. It's like a cookout, like a family reunion. How many family reunions and cookouts did you go to where nobody took a goddamn picture because everybody was too busy drinking, eating, singing, dancing, having a good time? That's where I find myself, and afterwards we all talk about it too. We're all like, shit, I wish we got a picture of that. I wish we got and I'm like, yeah, we could have seen it through our little square on our phone, or we did what we did. But the problem is we're a content creation channel, so we kind of have to get a little bit better at doing that kind of thing. So that's why I'm looking at advice from you guys. Like, how do you balance that out?
Well, here's what I recommend from my personal perspective. If you're going to be at a con for like a couple hours, here's my suggestion: do an hour of content and then an hour and a half of play. That way, you never have to worry about it. You do an hour of content, hour or two, and then a couple hours just doing what you do.
Right.
And I think that way it makes you focus on what you're supposed to do, but at the same time you're not restricting yourself of not having fun and enjoying being at the convention.
My fear when we get into that sometimes too, and I know I'm kind of going off on this, guys, and I do apologize, but my fear is like the vibe that we have as a community within the community space or within the booth space is just come and have fun and hang out. It's never like our vibe is not the same as a lot of the other community booths where you can tell they're driving content or they're driving product or they're driving an IP. Ours, we try to make it so that we're just all there we're just all silly geese just having fun. And I feel like if we get too deep or too long or too hardcore into like content, we're going to lose some of that vibe. Does that make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense, which is why I was suggesting like doing an hour, because you can't if you do all work and no play, it makes Captain Daddy a very dull captain.
Wayne, I'm telling you, at least you lasted 24 and a half minutes, you son of a bitch. Can I hold on? I gotta be able to mute Wayne. Is there a mute button on Wayne I can hit here somewhere or something?
I love
I know.
You, Jeff.
I know when I'm doing content at the cons, because basically I'm married to my work and I love what I do. So the two go hand in hand. So I don't really spend a lot of time without my camera gear. Like I have my camera gear with me all the time. So it's always like, no, it's part of, I guess, my persona, part of what I do. But I'm also talking to people at the same time when I'm there, but to actually stop and be like, hey, let's go over to Steam Whistle, have a beer. It's like, well, I've got this to do. But I guess because, like I said, I'm married to my work and I love what I do so much that's just part. It's just all, to me, it's all one big thing. So to actually take time out to actually stop and have like an hour conversation with someone, it just at an event, I guess because I get so focused on what I'm doing that
Look at this sexy son of a bitch here. Look at this guy. I'm Captain Daddy. Look at this guy. I don't think I can. Look at that dude right there. On my best day, I've never looked that good. Look at how good you look there, brother.
Thanks, bro. That is from Grunt City. That's my character Dex, the GCP enforcer, aka Dark Chocolate.
One, not touching that. Two, put the needle back on the record a little bit, because we've mentioned Grudge City a couple of times here through the podcast, but for those of you that don't know, for those of the people that are listening or watching that don't know, what is Grunge City? What are you guys talking about when you're talking about that?
All right. Well, basically, Grunt City is our pet project that we're working on. It's our passion project. If the best way I can recommend it is it's a sci-fi series that we're working on that we hope to have it broadcast on YouTube and other places as well. Think of Blade Runner meets Sin City. And that is how we go. The tagline of the series is every corner has a story. And you'll meet different characters from different backgrounds who are trying to figure out the way that it's showing the city as big as Toronto is. We're making it our cyberpunk city, and that is how we're going to do with that.
Exactly.
Sorry, are you guys talking more of like an anthology type thing where every episode would be its own little contained story, and every time you see a new set of characters and a different story?
Well, with the Tales of Grunge City series, that's a 10-part story arc that leads into two other series. The actual entire world itself encompasses a 300-year story arc that starts off in the 1700s and goes right through into the year 2090, I believe we have it at.
2089.
2089, sorry. And then at very end, all the characters from like all the Cyberpunk era series all come together for one big finale. But the Tales part encompasses three different, basically a trilogy of stories that tell this one story. But the characters, Wayne's character actually is probably the one character that is consistent through the entire story arc. So that's it. But then the families that are involved in this whole story arc are all pollinated through the series. So when you watch the series, you'll see references to all these things. And then when you watch it all together, when it all finally comes out, you'll be like, oh, wow. So this is how this part fits in together and how that part fits in together and how this character goes here and that character goes there. So it's kind of like our own like Marvel, DC, Star Wars universe that we've created. And, it started off with the Tales story, and then it went into a couple of other stories. And then during the writing process, it just kind of grew. So it's been
Originally, the idea came from when we were doing an actual cyberpunk photo shoot. I had an idea for what I was writing, and I was talking with Jeff, and Jeff had like, look, I had this great idea of a story that I wanted to work with, and I've been doing it for years. So we took his story and my story and bunched it together and make Tales of Grunge City, and it's been growing ever since.
Jeff, we can't hear you. I think you're on mute, bud.
You are correct. How far into the project are you guys?
Right now, we are starting a casting call for Tales on June 1st and 2nd. I've been doing some preliminary shooting for a couple other series within that world. We did some initial test footage back in 2020? Before COVID?
2020, before COVID.
Yeah, right before COVID. We did some test footage with some of the original cast that we recruited. And then now we're getting ready to do the casting process, working out some funding ideas to do some funding for the projects. We can pay for things like settings and locations. Talked to a few locations like Stormcrow Manor, Off-World Bar. What other places have we talked to?
Pravda, we've also worked with.
Yeah.
Also, there's a couple of places that we're working downtown. That's in Chinatown that we're working with, and it's been a great thing that we've been doing with this. So I'm really happy how things are slowly coming together, and we get to see the process and how it's being made from putting hands on.
So
and
the content that we've seen so far through your respective accounts has been essentially like gearing up for like test footage of type thing.
Pretty much, yeah. And some of it's been like official footage. Some of it has been stuff to kind of get everybody ramped up for it, and we're ready to go with it and be like, okay, when this hits, it's going to hit. So it's been a kind of mishmash of the two. I did a big update on the website back in February to bring everything back up to speed and to bring it ready so we can go to the next level. And now I'm going to be working next week on the Grunge City World Instagram account. And as a result of all of this, we created a production company called Grunge City Pictures, which is basically where all the funding, all the production level stuff goes into. I talked to my lawyers about how that can fit into all the legalities of what we needed to do. So basically I said, can this fit under my North Haven Media legalities that I have with you guys? And they said, yeah, because it's all part of your company. So yes, it would just be the same legal rights. We just, whenever you needed like a model release form, making sure the copyright content is there or intellectual property, they would handle all that. So the legal part of it was a huge thing to be able to get that background in, because I just didn't want to be something like, oh, wow, it's just like an amateur company. It's like, no, before we get into this, I want to talk to my lawyers, be sure that what we're doing is copyright protected, and we own intellectual properties for that. And I went and got a business license for the company as well. So that way, both Wayne and I, could go to people and be like, okay, this is what we're doing. It's legal, it's legit, it's professional. Let's start the process going. So.
Precisely. Yeah, so it's been a very good process of how to learn everything and taking not only the skills that I've learned, but also taking skills of Jeff learned and learning more about how to do filming, how to talk to people, and how to be able to social network a lot, and taking all the skills we have and making it to something that we hope that people will like. But more importantly, it's more important that we like it. Because if I'm going to put on anything, or if I put a content on of anything on a post or feed or story, it's got to be something like, you know what, I like this. This is what I want to do for myself. And Jeff is the same way. That's why we have the same camaraderie we do. We're very compassionate and very passionate of what we put on the content. So that's how it works.
And people have seen like the live cast that we've done from time to time on location skills. You'll see that fun and that craziness that we both have, like the same sense of humor, which is like, so.
Yeah, this is clearly the first time that either of you does anything like this.
Yeah, I mean, like I've dabbled in TV productions before. Like I've directed a lot of shows back in my early days, but to do it on my own with Wayne, to do things the way I want to do it, have that creative control without some producer, some big corporation like Rogers say you have to do it this way, to be able to have that freedom to create and to create something that you believe in and that you love, and to have a partner like Wayne who, has the same passion for it. And like when we talk about Grunge City stuff, he says, what if Dex does this? And, I have a great idea for what your character Gibson would do. And, so, and then, okay, why don't we bring in this character and, what this character would do in this scene. And then when I post like a little trailer for one of the episodes or something, Wayne will message me on Instagram saying, okay, so like, this is really cool that you did this, and I really like what you're doing. So it makes us be sure that we're on the right track, but to be able to, not be in a rush to get it done, to nurture it and make it grow and grow and grow, and not be contained by like a deadline. And just, because if we start doing that, then mistakes happen. And we've been very sure not to make mistakes with this project going forward, because we want people to, when they see the final project, to be, be like, oh my God, you guys, like, we talked about this and now it's live, it's out there, and now we've seen it.
It sounds like we've kind of already had this question answered. Jennifer, this is producer Jen, asked a little bit earlier, either of you had a light bulb aha moment when creating content? It sounds like Grunge City is that light bulb aha moment for you guys. Would you agree?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had. I think both of us have had aha moments. Definitely, Grunt City is one of ours. Another one that I also that's kind of it was when I did the when I really started putting the content for myself a little bit. When I did um, the Batman um, um, tribute to Kevin Conroy, that was like a moment that was in my head 10 days after he passed,
Mhm.
and being a Batman fan, I figured that I never got a chance to meet him, but this is my way to honor him.
Right.
And that's a haha moment. And there's going to be plenty of haha moments with we had a few during this whole process for me and Jeff.
Oh yeah.
But
And with my haha moments, I would say the first major one was when I did the first story that preceded the whole Tales of Grand City thing. It was a thing I called Gutter World I was working on. That was my first aha moment, where it's just like, wow, this is really cool. But I think you always have aha moments when you're creating content. It all depends on what it is, and when you reach the pinnacle of this is the major aha moment, yeah, like Grunt City is it. Like I would say, out of all the things that we're doing, Grunt City is definitely the baby, is the one that that means the most. I think both of us, and I think
absolutely.
I think the other project currently that we're doing, the next aha moment, I think is probably the Multiverse Enigma fan film that we're currently in production with.
Yeah, and that's been a real labor of love. We've had Black Cat Sigma, who's been amazing going through it. She's been learning the same things that we've been doing. She started from going from doing a Black Cat cosplay to now she's really going up into the world, and having her as part of the project and having her passion it's refreshing. It's like, hey, this is how we started. This is how we wanted to do stuff. And so she's been a great person to work with, and she's a goofball, so that also helps too.
Yeah, and she also soaks up a lot of things on set, like in the shoots that we've done so far with this fan film. She's really soaked up a lot of the direction in wanting to learn about, okay, how to make my acting better, where do I look for the camera or not look to the camera, and guiding her through those scenes where she can actually, because I think when you're doing video, it's so hard, because when you're doing photography, you're doing stills, and it's kind of hard to direct people. You can give them, I try to give them a scenario, so when they're posing for a photo, they have that emotion and scenario in their head as that character, and they're living that character even though it's stills. When you're doing video, because a 5-minute scene may take half hour to shoot or an hour to shoot, where a 30-second scene will take a half hour to shoot. But to be able to soak up how to look off camera and portray that emotion and say it with inflection and have a little bit of humor or do those action poses, I think she's been really good in absorbing all of that and keep on moving forward. And I think as a result, in her cosplay photos, I think that's made her a better cosplayer in front of the camera as well, because she's taking that knowledge, being in front of the camera in a fan film, and learning and applying it to what she's doing in her cosplay for modeling.
Oh yeah, I have to agree with that.
You guys have been to cons enough, and specifically you, Jeff. Now, when you go to a con and you do a shoot, are there specific challenges or things that you're looking out for? Or I'm sure when you're at a con, first of all, I'm sure you go there already with pre-booked shoots, but like, what are the type of things that, crap, now I got to deal with this, or no, this isn't going to work, now I got to change my plan, or like, what are some of those things that come up?
I think one thing would be timing. Some people can't make their time for whatever reason or have to cancel, so you've got to adjust your schedule accordingly. I think when in the instance of Toronto Comicon, for instance, right, there were so many people on the main floor by the escalators shooting that it was like, okay, do you want to be part of that whole majority that's down there doing all that, or do you want to be more specific in what you shoot? So with me, I try to be more specific, because there's things that that I want to capture, kind of thing. And I don't want to do what everybody else is doing on social media, because you'll see thousands of pictures over the next 2 or 3 weeks, right? What I try to do when I shoot at a con is be like, no, I'm doing this specific shoot or in this specific thing because that's unique and that's something that maybe no one else is doing. I mean, there's other cosplay photographers that'll go outside and do shoots like that. So that kind of stuff is what I look for. Also, someone who has a passion for their cosplay. They messaged me and said, I've spent like the last 3 weeks working on this new cosplay and I want to get really great photos of it. Like, are you available to do this? That kind of stuff I respond to as well, because because then I know we're going to create some really great stuff. But then at the same time, you run into people on the day of, and then, they make you basically an offer you can't refuse as well, kind of thing. Like, like doing the meetups for geeks was like, for me, it was a huge thing. It was a huge honor to be doing that. I felt like, wow, this is like great. I finally, I've been, I wouldn't say be ghosting geeks on Instagram, but I've been seeing all the things, but I've been sort of waiting because I was busy doing other things over the last couple of years. So I wanted to wait. And then I believe that the time presents itself for stuff. So I look at that as well as the timing for things. On the con floor on the day of, something may leap out at me as well, which did on the Friday. I met a cosplayer that I've seen on Instagram for a couple of years. We met in person. She knew who I was. And next thing I know, we're doing a video shoot on the Friday. And, and she was an amazing person, so funny and so on point. And she was just, her work was stellar. And, and now she's just one of my favorite people that I want to do more work with. So that kind of thing is what makes, to me, is what I look for.
It sounds like Amethyst, because
it was Amethyst.
I was right. It's because I've worked with her and she sounds exactly as you described. Another thing I've done for content is I've had this something called Good Idea, Bad Idea. And it was basically, it came out of an idea from an Animaniacs episodes, where you have a good idea for something and then a bad idea. Like, for example, I had a good idea where a friend of mine was best friends with Rogue, with the Rogue cosplayer. And the other one was a bad idea, giving Rogue a high five. So that stuff happens, and it happens so often. During the last few years, I have been attacked by predators, not you guys, from Predators, Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, the Assassin, Street Fighter, and just the list goes on and on. And it's a very small content, but I enjoy it, and that's fun.
Wayne, especially for you at this stage, now that you're kind of on both sides of the fence, do you find that the cosplay is driving the content creation, or is the content creation driving the cosplay?
Ooh, I think for me, it's I think for me, it's the cosplay that creates the content for me. Whenever I have always had these crazy ideas, and now that I'm actually doing it, and like, for example, I'm actually doing a cyberpunk with a Fast and Furious sort of vibe on it. And that's something I wouldn't do like years ago. I would never thought of it, but now it's something that brings it out. And I'm coming up with all these type of ideas and writing it down. It's like, I want this idea. And how do I put it with the cosplay? Because it's something I love. And so that's how it drives me personally.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, JS.
No, go ahead. I think I'm on the same page.
Yeah, I think we're the same boat. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes without saying. I think a lot of cosplayers, not everybody, but a lot of cosplayers, I think the content follows the cosplay. Right. They do the cosplay, and that generates content, versus somebody that is a content creator that comes up with an idea and of a specific thing that they want to do. Yeah. And then they'll build a cosplay to do that specific thing that they want to do. Usually it's the other way around, right? Usually there's this cosplay you want to do.
Well, with Wayne,
and that generates that content, right?
Wayne's a little more unique because Wayne was already doing the content creation and then got into cosplay.
True.
Whereas I think the vast bulk of people in the hobby sort of like the content creation comes as a result of the cosplay, as opposed to, so Wayne, you kind of done it the other way, but it's still, now you're finding that the cosplay is still more the driver now now that you're kind of into it and you're putting on costumes and stuff. You recently brought out Captain Cold, which was super cool.
Oh,
I don't know.
that was
I don't know how the hell you're going to wear a parka in the middle of summer, but I mean, hey, brother,
It's a Toronto Comicon cosplay. It's a Toronto Comicon cosplay.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the way it works. It works only in seasonal weather, so hopefully I will have to worry about that much. But
well, that's what our buddy Steve here, who's Groot, is talking about Groot in London. I have so many ideas for cosplays. My issue is always ideas for content, and I get so involved in making, I forget to record or take progress photos. You and JS share the exact same brain on this, and Rob too, to be honest with you. Rob is actually a little bit better probably on making sure he's at least getting a picture of whatever the hell he's doing. JS is like, I made this cool thing. I'm like, oh, do you have any progress? No.
Yeah,
it's funny because I always do the beginning, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning, I start filming, and then the longer the project takes,
you're just
the
like,
less I record.
and then when people cross my path with their cosplay ideas, and they say, "Hey, I just finished doing this great creation," and they have really no idea what they want to do with it, then that's when the question starts. Like, okay, well, what version of this character were you doing, and how do you want to do it? Do you want to do like the origin version of this character that you now created? Do you want to do the comic book, the TV show, the movie, or what do you feel their take on? And I think once I engage them in that, then they're like, oh my God, I didn't realize there were so many possibilities for me to do with this character. And then the floodgates are open, because then now you've established something with them where it's just like, okay, this person I'm creating content with cares about what I'm doing.
So that's something actually, I want to go down that path for a quick second.
Sure.
When I'm sure, especially newer cosplayers, but people in general, we're not professional models.
No,
we don't necessarily know when we get in front of a photographer or a professional photographer what we're really supposed to do, right? Like we know a couple poses, and we try to look cool, but what are some tips that you have for people when they're actually working with some of these professional photographers? Tips on how to act, what to do, anything.
Okay, well, go ahead there, Jeff, because I know you got
I always give them an emotion to start with, saying, and then I give them a story background to work with as well. I tell them, okay, you're in a situation. I want you to give me an emotion that you're looking off in the distance, thinking about the person who left your life, or thinking about a moment that inspired you, or thinking about a moment where this character was just got out of a fight and they're remembering that moment. Then that'll trigger in them a scene in their head from the movie they saw, and be like, okay, now you move forward with them, or you bring to the shoot on your phone a series of images from that character that they're talking about that scene with, so they can look at it on the phone and be like, okay, and I'll say, okay, let's do this one now. So now they'll look at it, they'll study it. So a combination of the two things, and then they'll be able to. I wouldn't say really. I don't really call it posing, because there's only really 5 poses in photography that you ever do. But there's so much more once you give someone an emotion and give them a storyline, because then they run with it, and then they're more engaged, and they'll give you a lot more. Then they're more excited as a result, and they'll be like, oh, well,
then they become the character versus trying to pose like the character.
Exactly. And that's the major difference, is they become that character, and then you're just off the races, and people love the content that much more. You can add in all the fancy lights and all the cool backgrounds and all the apps and everything else. But if you're not establishing that character for that cosplayer that's doing that character, then you're just running through the motions. That's just the reality of it. You're just running through the same poses that everybody else is doing.
And for me, it's from my perspective, it's I've always, whenever I go and pick up a character, I want, when I'm picking the character, I want sort of a method actor in a way, is that I want to be able to say, instead of being all high and being calm and full of energy, I can be like this, being able to talk about things and keeping things cool. So that's the sort of way I do with Captain Cole. He's very calm. He's very good. Even under intense garage pressure, it's always like that. And so,
and you can see that in the facial expressions, and this is actually a fantastic example of this.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to bring this up. So this is a shoot that editor Megan and I did with Jeff at a specific location, and this is another one of those instances where like I'd watched the first season of Witcher, but I hadn't played the games, I hadn't read the book, so I didn't know the character terribly well.
Mhm.
But thanks to working with Jeff and Meg, and then we had our whole crew there with us too. It wasn't just the three of us. There was a bunch of us there to try to get us through the shoot, so we knew exactly kind of what we were looking for, what we were going for, the environment was, that type of thing. And working with Megan's a lot easier too, because of course Megan's a professionally trained model, so that makes it way easier to get stuff from her and work with her. But even getting some of these established shots and established angles and working through the different sort of poses like Jeff's talking about, and making sure we kind of had an idea of the story that we wanted to tell through these photos. That's I feel like that's the important part when you go into a shoot like that, is you really want to have, I'm not saying you can't go into a shoot and not have an idea of what you're looking to get out of it, or the story that you're trying to tell with the photos. But if you go into it having all that in your pocket and knowing that's what you want to do, I think it makes the shoot itself go a lot smoother and a lot easier by telling that story through photos and poses and such, right?
Absolutely. And even having like what Jeff said, having references from either whatever comic book, TV show or whatnot gets you that, and like, okay, this is kind of how I want to do. And this way, the photographer, like Jeff says, okay, this is how I want you to feel this moment, or how I want you to create that version in this moment. Like when you showed this photos of you in The Witcher, I remembered that first episode, and it's like it almost mirrors it. Right. And I love that. Yeah. And that's exactly what we want to do. We want to bring that content where it brings out, like I said, the emotions of what we're doing, and that makes it so much more than just a couple of poses on a photo.
I think Megan is also pretty much saying the same thing, or in the same vein. Something I always do, I always do to prep before a photo shoot, is look up inspiration image.
Yeah, like when Megan and I did her character from
The Witcher.
Yeah, no, from the Gertha. We did the Gertha.
Oh, the Gertha.
From Vikings.
From Vikings. Yeah. Her and I would go.
She
would tell me what images she wanted to get from what episode, or she showed me the outfit that she was working on, and then I would go and watch an episode of The Witcher or Vikings, or I would go on the Google and search images so I can get an idea in my head. Actually, my favorite shoot that we did of that was, it was like -14 out, and she had the red robe that she wore, and it was just so, and it was snowing out, and it was just really beautiful.
Perfect.
Shoot. It was a great shoot. It was cold, and then we were quick with it because it was cold. But things like that, when you are working with people and you're discussing the images and you're discussing, bringing those things to it, because then when you get to the shoot, it kind of goes faster as a result, because now you're just boom, 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 boom. You're getting it out. And then the challenge after that is getting it back to post-production and making it look like what you want.
I was just going to say, right? Because there's that whole factor of, if you're doing a Witcher shoot, you want the pictures to look like from The Witcher, right?
Precisely.
So there's a style there that you're going to want to, I don't know if replicate is the right word, but
but you're right. And I want to make a point about that too, guys, because we are talking about like getting specific inspirational images or telling a story, like Wayne's saying, it made him think of that first episode. And I think sometimes as cosplayers, and even sometimes with the photographer, we get a little too locked into recreating exact images or telling the exact same story. We're looking more for the inspiration. We want it to have the look and feel, but feel free. Yeah, feel free to actually express yourself with the photographer and with the shoot. You can tell a completely different story as long as it still looks like it's coming from that world and it's still in character with what you're trying to portray. Come up with an original story, work with a photographer. And if you're shooting with somebody else, work with that particular. I feel like too many of us get locked into, all right, we have to do this shot because it's from this. We have to do this shot, it's from this. And sometimes it hampers the creative process, I find. It doesn't really let you expand and explore what you could be doing with that particular environment, right?
You nailed it. You nailed it right on the head. And that's for just to give you an example from what you're talking about there, it's the best times I've ever had in a photo shoot is when I'm collaborating with the photographer. When the photographer gives me some ideas and said, hey, I have this idea for a first shot. What do you think of this? For example, there was a shot that that me and Jeff did when I was doing my cyberpunk Rocker Boy cosplay. And I had this idea. It's like, listen, how about if I go on top of the stand and you take a picture of me with a guitar and it looks like I'm rocking out in the stadium. And that picture is like one of my favorites that Jeff did. And it's like one of my highlights. And I'll never forget that.
My favorite one that we've done was when we went down to Yonge and Dundas Square, was like, I think it was 11 o'clock at night.
Oh,
and Wayne stood right in the middle of Yonge and Dundas Square, all the traffic around. We had to time it with the lights, and I said, okay, when the light turns green and the cross section signal, go. So light turned green. He walked out. I stand in the middle of the street, did like 5 quick shots. Light turned. We went back to the corner, and all these people are standing around watching us, wondering what are these guys doing, kind of thing. Which is another topic in itself.
Just another TikToker trying to.
When the public comes engaged with you like that, it's so much more funnier and it's so much more worthwhile.
Yeah.
So we did about, I think, 15 shots in total of that. But you know, like I said, middle of downtown Toronto, he's sitting out there in the middle of the street as Dex, and here I am. This like, it's like another day at the office.
Guys,
again, coming just to expand on that, coming from the professional model who's done more shoots than any of us combined. Yeah, the inspiration to get the characterization, the physicality, and then you take that to the story you want to tell through your shot. No, absolutely, for sure.
Precisely.
Sorry, go ahead, JS.
I was just gonna say we've been on for almost an hour now. Before we do go, the producer Jen has another fantastic question here that I wanted you guys to get to.
Sure.
Do either of you get creative or creator burnout or creative block? How do you get over the hump? And I know that I go through that a lot, especially when making cosplays. I get periods where it's like it's just a struggle to even think about it. Does that happen to you guys at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It happens to any good creator. Like there's got to be a point where, you know, something stops you or something in life happens, or just like, I got nothing else in my tank right now. I just sometimes the best thing to do is to take a step back, take a breather, stay away from the content until it just blows over. Another thing is that like I have so many ideas in my head that I said, you know what, if I don't stop as much as I need, like I got, like, instead of doing like 15 different ideas for the year, I break it down to like 4. And I take the other ones and then I place them in the next year, because I want to give quality content. And that's what people seem to forget sometimes. It's great to have great quantity, but it's lots of good ideas if you have quality towards your work. And sometimes you need to step back, otherwise you will get burned out, or you will lose the passion and drive you wanted to get in the first place. Speaking of, if I may also, since I am here, I'm going to give you guys a little content creator, because I've had an idea and it's something I've wanted to do. Jeff,
I'm getting nervous with I'm not. We're losing Wayne. Can we? Is Wayne still out? Is he still?
I'll just break us down real quickly, because I'm glad Megan was actually on it, because I actually had the idea. Have any of you guys ever seen the TV show Suits?
Yeah. Oh, we've talked about this already.
Exactly, and that's and since I've thought of that, so I already had an idea. So Jeff would be Harvey Specter. JS, you would be our Lewis Litt. Jeff,
what?
Yeah.
You don't think you're Lewis?
No,
you're 100% Lewis.
Okay.
We have Jeff over here.
He's so mad right now.
And we have Jeff over here as our Daniel Hardman, and we have Megan as the one and only Donna Noble. Yes.
So who's Mike?
No, not Donna Noble. That's
Rob. That's Rob. That's Rob.
Rob is Mike.
Rob is Mike.
Interesting.
And it's very rare that I.
You had JS right up until you told him he's Lewis, and now he's out.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. How at the end of the day, I just take like a personal day off where I just turn on my social media and I kind of just like veg. I'll watch movies, or I'll listen to music, or I'll just focus on something else for a day. I may just watch one of my favorite movies or something, or just maybe every August I go to Niagara Falls and I take a drive down Niagara on the lake on the Niagara Parkway, and that's where I do my reset. And I think about everything that's happened building up to that point, and I also think about what's coming up, but also I get a chance to just get away from messages and emails and sitting in front of the computer, being on Photoshop and Premiere Pro all day doing stuff. Because as my friends will tell you, it's like, when do you sleep? Because it seems like you're always working. So that's where I kind of take my annual sabbatical at that time. And then over the course of a year, I'll take like one or two, like I'll take a Sunday off, or just like, nope, I'm not doing anything. So even if you message me asking for something, like, no, you can wait till Monday and I'll get to it then. But yeah, it's just something I do. But then that way I get refreshed and I'm ready to go for the next thing. But yeah.
Even we get that though. Like I remember when we finished London Comicon last year by late September, we were all just kind of looking at each other and we were like, I've never looked forward to a break in the con season so much as I do right now. Like burnout happens for everybody. Like, and the harder you go, the quicker you're going to burn out, and the more. And none of us are young men, right? Like we're all getting up there in age. I can't go like I could go when I was 25 anymore. No. So now I need longer periods of time. When I first got into the hobby, I was so like excited. I'd be mad at the down season. Like I'd be like, oh, come on, I want to do more stuff. I want to meet more people. I want to have more fun. But now I'm like, please God, when does the down season start? And it's just like coast for 5 months. And I told myself I was going to work on all these things and get all these things finished. No.
Yeah, it's kind of like it is like cosplay in a way. Is that you have so many cosplay ideas that you're never going to get them all.
No, of course.
But it's good.
There's only so many hours in a day. There's only so many days in a week, right? Like, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, and just
for me, I find that it's easy to step away. Mm-hmm. Right, when it's frustrating, when all you're doing is fucking up, when things just don't want to go your way, it's easy to just say, fuck it.
Good.
I'm going to go watch a movie.
Gonna go have a safety meeting. Gonna go have a safety meeting. Chillax a little bit. Yeah.
And tomorrow I'm going to go hit the gym. And the next day I'm going to do something else. And that for me is the real problem. It's almost easy. It's easier to walk away than finding your way back.
It's
from
sometimes
the creative block.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. So for me, it's almost forcing myself to do smaller mind, like something that I don't need to think about, right? Smaller things, and that gets me back into okay, now that I'm back into it, now I want to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And it's good that from both your standpoint, from Geeks & Co. and us as far as North Haven Creative and Grand City World, is that we have somebody who is watching over us and say, hey, you need to remember to keep going and do your stuff. Or, you know what, this is time where you think you need a sanity check. You need to take a step back. And that, I think, has been very essential for your mental health, as we talked about so many times on your show, that mental health is important. And so if your mental health goes bye-bye, that just ruins the rest of your time. And so taking a sanity check, taking care of yourself,
and having the right people around in your life too is an important thing. Like
100%.
Because the people that you have in your close-knit group, or people that support you in ways that people don't see, is really helpful, because it drives you. If I get into like a major burnout, I'll just switch genres. I'll go to another genre and work in that for a few months to kind of reset my battery. So if I need to, I'll be like, okay, I'll go up the Grand Bend and cover motorcycle racing for the summer, and then come back to all this other stuff. Or I'll just focus on roller derby for the entire roller derby season, then come back to all this other creative stuff. Or go back into model photography and do a couple of model shoots for like 2 months, or sometimes let's go back and even go back to outdoor nature where I started and do that. And then my batteries are reset. I get away from all the craziness, and then I'm ready to come back and bring my passion back to everybody and whatnot. I think also too, when people have expectations of you and you fail to meet those expectations, it drives you that much harder at times, and it can be a little bit harsh on you, I think, when
100%.
And I get that a lot, where you have expectations or you don't meet people's expectations, and then you feel like you failed. And in 2020, I felt that way. I felt I had failed, and so I had to take a step back from this genre until I felt comfortable coming back, till someone believed in me and said, Jeff, I want you here. So I'm like, okay. Then it just snowballed, and I felt better about myself, knowing that I had the time to reflect on on the time I had away. I knew where I wanted to be better as a person and better as a content creator and better as a professional and result of that. So, but luckily I did other things in those 2-year times that kept me going and kept my reality going. And then when I was ready to hop back into this, I wasn't expecting to hop back so deeply as I am now, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
So thinking,
What do you think, buddy? I think that's puts a pretty good bow on it.
That's.
I think we can put a fork in that one.
Yeah, definitely. Before we do go,
Yes.
First of all, thank you to both of you for joining us today. It was awesome having you on. We're definitely going to do some more stuff together, guys.
Absolutely.
But before we go,
yes.
How about you let everybody know where they can find you, your Insta books and your face pages and all that stuff.
Can't take them anywhere.
Well, no, but basically, also, just in case you're watching, people, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this video.
Please.
It really helps their channel grow. So, for me, if you want to see any of my work, you can always check out my hashtag Wayne Cuff is also my Instagram page. My other page that we also see would be Tales of Grunge City. All of it has all the series and starting from beginning to end. And that's basically the two places you'll find me.
You have another page, don't you?
Yes, I have Body Heroes, which is another one that I have as well.
Wayne Cuff, the only guy that is in the chat from 3 different accounts on a weekly basis.
That has been my favorite magic trick to do with you guys. It's always messes with you a lot. I love that.
As for myself, you can find me for all my cosplay related stuff and creative character stuff on North Haven Creative. All my professional stuff that I work on outside of cosplay can be found on the North Haven Creative Pictures Instagram account. Everything for Grunge City for the production side of it is on Grunge City World on Instagram. And all the roller derby stuff is at Jammerline Multimedia on Instagram. And people who work with me know my Facebook page, plus it's my first and last name. And you can find me on there to chat and stuff. I'm also on YouTube and kind of sort of a little bit on Twitter.
Oh my gosh.
So,
is it called X now?
I call it Twitter. Just like I call
it is called X now, yes.
So that's where you can find me. And I'll be spending more time next week on the Grunge City thing, updating stuff. So you'll be seeing more updates on that and on the Facebook pages for that account as well. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Jeff.
May the 4th. May the 4th, bitches.
Yes.
London, Ontario. Yeah. LBC, be there, be square. Just as a reminder, it is also Free Comic Book Day. So the geeks are going to be landing in downtown Toronto the morning of Free Comic Book Day.
Downtown London.
Downtown London. The morning of Free Comic Book Day, downtown London, shoot some content, mix and mingle with some folks and promote the Star Wars event. So we're going to be in costume. We're going to promote the Star Wars event. And then starting at 3:00, going until whenever the hell they kick us out, it is going to be May the 4th be with you, the 2nd edition. It is a free event, by the way. I don't think I've mentioned that before. It's free. Just come on in and enjoy yourselves. There's going to be prizes that are going to be raffled off. All 100% of the raffle proceeds are going to Ronald McDonald House. Again, the vendor spaces, 100% of that is going to the vendor space fee is going to Ronald McDonald House. They are brewing a beer for us. We're going to keep that closed lid right now, but that'll come out soon.
The last email from Emma?
Yeah, I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that last piece? Should we?
We can.
Is it too early? Spill some beans?
You can spill some beans. You look like you wanted to spill some beans.
Spill a little bit of beans, guys. I mean, I'm not going to talk about what the actual beer is or the name of the new beer, which is quite clever, and I'm pretty proud of the label, by the way.
You've killed the label.
But, guys, being at Star Wars Day, there will be a portion of the proceeds of every beer sold going to Dad Club London for Ronald McDonald House charities. That's right. 50 cents of every can is going to Ronald McDonald House charities through the Dad Club London. So, guys, come to London Brewing Co-op.
Well, now I have
Come
to
and
tell them what
drink.
it. All right, now
Come
I have
and
to tell them
drink
what it is.
Star
All right, guys.
Wars
So
beer.
it's like I said, it's not a shandy. The reason it's not a shandy is they couldn't can an alcoholic lemonade. It was not going to work. It was going to ferment inside and it was going to kill people. We don't want anybody to die. We love all you people. So it is going to be a lemon infused lager. It's going to be a light lemon infused lager. So it's only going to be 4%. It's going to be very easy to drink, very refreshing. 4%. I think it's going to work out well. I think it's going to be very, very tasty. They have a tangerine IPA that's very, very similar, but this, instead of the tangerine, you're going to get the lemon flavor. So it's going to have a sweetness to it. It's all organic. That's the big thing with London Brewing Cooperative. Everything they do is organic. I think it's going to be great. JS has made a great label. You guys are going to see it. They're going to have it canned. They're going to have it on tap. They're going to have 3 times as much as they had last year. So you will not go without, kids. I promise you. If you drink the place dry, my hat's off to you, because it should be good.
And there might be
4%. What is Irish going to drink then? You'll just have to drink more, Lex. You'll just have to drink
more.
Like I said, if that one isn't to your cup of tea, that's fine. Please get at least a couple, so you're contributing to the charity. But they have beers all the way up to 9% of the beers that are there too. The what is the one that the Bourbon Legend, the 9% Bourbon Legend. Oh, my favorite beer.
The nice thing about this is they're served in cans, and you can buy just like a 6-pack.
That's right.
You don't,
exactly.
You don't have to open it up, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to buy a couple cans and bring them back with you,
You
and
can do
give them
that
to your family, or put one on a shelf,
But they will still have it on tap as well, guys. So
like,
be mindful of that.
Like
that
last
one
year's,
there. That's right.
last year's beer. Although
idea.
this was not my label.
No.
But this was a test, right? This was
yeah. It was the first time we did it, and it went bonkers well. So we're doing it again, and it's going to be bigger and better than it was before.
I want to remind everybody that last year, the event started at 3, but people didn't really start showing up till 5. And by 6:45, the beer was gone.
So
okay.
Now, hold on. You're right, but this year we have more events. There's bingo. There's Star Wars bingo going on, and that starts at 4. So
we have more beer.
There's more beer. There's bingo. There's going to be trivia, and then after trivia, there's going to be a live band that is going to be playing some geek and nerd stuff as well. So, guys, it's going to be the best time. Make sure you're coming out for it, and like we've talked about the whole time, it's all going to a good cause. So.
It's all Star Wars. It's all love.
And by the way, guys, we're gonna have a Chewbacca. We're gonna have a Darth Vader. We're gonna have a Mandalorian. We're gonna have a Stormtrooper. Like
wait, what? Who's coming as Vader?
Dean is coming as Vader. Oh, and sorry, we're also gonna have the Frog Lady as well. So, guys, this is gonna be epic, guys. Like, you don't want to miss this year. It's gonna be a great time. Make sure you're coming out. So, yes, it's gonna be a good time. So,
we may have a Boba Fett come back again this year, or maybe Boba
if
Fett.
Dean's watching, Dean doesn't know he's coming, but he's totally coming. He's absolutely coming. Marianne has to drag his shambling corpse to the thing. She's going to do that, so we're fine.
Dean, just so you know, you've been voluntold.
Yeah, Dean knows. I was talking to Dean last night. He's like, "Oh, I don't know." And then Marianne showed up. I'm like, "You're going to bring Dean with you, right?" She's like, "Oh yeah." So we're good.
Well, he's based out of London, isn't he?
He's in Corunna, which is near Sarnia, so he's only like an hour away. So yes, and we'll have a scout trooper as well. Yes, Michael's going to suffer and wear his scout for us. So yeah, guys, this is going to be it's going to be crazy, guys. It's going to be epic. Like, it's going to be a whole other level. So make sure you're coming out.
It's going to be dope. It's going to be really dope, and we're getting vendors, guys. A bunch of people, a lot of people that we know are going to be showing up. They're going to be vending. They're going to be showing off their products. They're going to be drinking beer with us.
3 more spots, guys. I've only got 3 more spots left. So make sure you're messaging me and let me know that you want to vend at the the event, because otherwise, once those spots are gone, they're gone.
All right. And just so I can bring this in just before we close, just a reminder that there will be a casting call for Tales of Gren City. We will be posting it very soon on social media. So do look out for it. And the occasion will be at June 1st and June 2nd. So bring yourselves out there, bring your A games, and they will be coming up to you very shortly. So watch out for it.
Yes.
Matt saying Becca's making crochet things right now, Star Wars things. I know. I saw it on her Instagram. I was like, "Ooh, you got to make some of these for Star Wars Day."
Yep.
Guys, if you haven't seen, there's a brand new Godzilla X Con, or Godzilla and Con. I don't know how you want to call it. The New Empire is out in theaters now. It's getting actually really good reviews. People are really enjoying this new movie, although it is apparently more of a Kong movie than a Godzilla movie.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear it's really more. Godzilla is more of a cameo in the movie. It's really centered around Kong and his story.
Awesome.
Which means our buddy Alan Henry had a lot to do on this friggin' movie. We might actually have Alan coming back to the podcast next week, guys. So, keep your eye on our Instagram channel. We'll be announcing as soon as it's official. He's currently in friggin' Africa right now with his family. So I'm sure he's having a great old time over there. But we're gonna try to get him back on the show to talk about Godzilla X Con, before he gets back on his show that I don't know if I'm supposed to say what he's on now, but he's on another big project right now. So hopefully we'll get some more beans next week.
Sounds good.
Guys, so much again. I really appreciate you guys coming. I think that will be it for this week, though. If you haven't already, please make sure you click that like and subscribe button. Otherwise, this will be it for this week. We will see you next week, and you make sure you stay geeky.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Geek Boutique Podcast. Like always, if you prefer to listen to us, you can find us on all major podcast platforms. Now, make sure you don't forget to click that like and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell to make sure you never miss anything. There you go.
We're technically still live and recording, guys. So no shit talking.
Live again.
No shit talking.
I don't know what's wrong with this damn thing. Why?
Actually, we're gonna start making this like we're gonna put this part behind a paywall. So if you're gonna start shit talking, now's the time. No, I'm just please don't shit talk anybody. We're not.
Andrew's like,
yeah,